you are?
Nobody.
Hello and welcome to more Pragmatism from Nobody. This is part one of two videos explaining exactly how and why catastrophic climate change theory fails. For ease of use in this video, climate change will be considered the same thing as anthropogenic global warming, which I will be referring to as catastrophic climate change, or C3. Frankly, any climate change that is not catastrophic is not a problem. It's just climate, which changes by definition. I'm sick and tired of listening to Al Gore and other zealots making claims about climate change science that are just plain wrong. They're not delivering science, they're promoting a religion. Gore's son has just figured out a way to get rich by selling snake oil in the form of climate change. I'm not anti-science, not at all. That would be a foolish stance against evidence. I'm very much behind real science, and it is why I made this video. Accurate science is an excellent method of understanding the universe and our place in it. However, I am anti-politics masquerading as science. These charlatans tell us that the science is settled and the debate is over. There never was a debate and the science is never settled. The supposed debate is just part of the propaganda. The last thing zealots want is a debate that could prove them wrong. They tell us 97% of scientists all agree. This is just plain stupid. Is there a list somewhere? And today, virtually all climate scientists agree that global warming has slowed or halted. So what? These statements get us nowhere. As I will soon demonstrate, consensus has limited application in what makes science valuable. The C3 argument is that greenhouse gases have been emitted into the atmosphere due to human activities. The primary gas that's got their panties in a bunch is CO2. It has gone up from around 280 parts per million in 1850 to around 400 parts per million today in 2017. A rough approximation of the industrial age. I don't think anybody is actually arguing with these facts. So what's the problem? The problem is that they say these gases amplify the well-acknowledged greenhouse effect of the Earth's atmosphere. This gas amplification is supposedly causing all kinds of current problems and will cause far worse problems in the future. However, there are many people, including prominent scientists, who disagree with this C3 hysteria. According to the devotees, these people just do not understand science. And yet there are a few questions about the science of C3 that the Chicken Littles have not been able to adequately answer. If C3 is based on accurate science, why are catastrophic predictions so far off the mark? If average global temperatures are increasing, what level of CO2 will trigger C3? And what experiments demonstrate this fact? If temperatures are increasing, why is that stimulus necessarily a bad average result worldwide? If we are causing C3, what demonstrated science can stop it? If we can stop C3 from happening, how do we know that the cure won't be worse than the disease? What is the desired average Earth temperature and why is that the best worldwide? So, we have a lot of science and a lot of questions and a lot of hysteria and no good answers. Why? If the C3 science was so profound and pristine, then nobody would bother arguing against it. Let's be clear about the problem. The skeptic's argument is with the C3 religion, not with demonstrated climate science. But I don't intend to rehash the same arguments here. That approach has gotten us well along the path to nowhere. So let's put all the science and all the questions to the side for a bit and get philosophical about the issue. Then we can see where the problem with C3 theory lies, in what we consider science to be. There's a problem with modern science. There's too much of it. At least too much science in name only. Political science? Really? That anything associated with politics should be considered a science is laughable. But pseudosciences like this are set in the language and culture and we can't take the word back now. What is science? This is the definition of science from Wikipedia. Systematic enterprise that builds and organizes knowledge in the form of testable explanations and predictions about the universe. Seems to be a reasonable definition for science, except a great deal of pseudoscience doesn't follow the part about testing and predictions. This singular definition is not very useful because it doesn't tell us how to determine if a claimed science is valuable. It is an illusion. According to this singular defined view, there is science and there is not science. No, nothing of the sort. A singular definition only works if we consider all sciences to be equal, but all sciences are obviously not equal. If If we are to advance and promote real science, as we should, then we can no longer consider all sciences to be equal. If we consider all sciences not to be equal, then how are we to differentiate between them with a single definition? We can't. So we should try something else. To further understand why C3 specifically and modern science generally has a problem, let's ask a better question. Why is science valuable? That's easy. Because of all the great technology that science has given us. Applied science builds on demonstrated theory to give us all the valuable toys we so enjoy. An academic form of science is merely knowledge without application. What if science could not be applied to the real world? If it was just theory without application? Without the marvelous technology that results from it, science would be of as little value to us as astrology. Application is the highest level of science, and it is why we all find it to be so valuable. The scientific method works, all sciences are not equal, and application is the most valuable level of science. We can use these rules to organize science into various pyramids with what I call tiers, each demonstrating how well we understand the universe and our place in it. Some pyramids of science give us quite good approximations of reality, some others not so much, like C3. Science Tier 1, definitive evidence. This base is the largest level where terms are defined. There's not much ambiguity at this level. Here we have mathematics, logic, biological classifications, equations and physical descriptions, and all the other definitions required to formulate and transmit a theory. The definitions can of course be changed, but any science built upon them would have to change. This is also the level of consensus. Science Tier 2, anecdotal evidence. This is the basis of what we commonly know as science. Scientists see something and wonder how it works. They observe the world around them and come up with questions that they try to answer. These are the hypotheses of science. From these ideas, scientists create tests that they anticipate will answer their questions. Also important to note is that these tests must be false possible. If it's not possible for the test to fail, then they will tell us nothing of importance. Science Tier 3, experimental evidence. Here's where science changed the world. Testing your hypothesis to see if it really works. This must be done under isolated conditions to limit variables. Perform the test and record the results. Note that it's not possible to verify the truth of any hypothesis, it's only possible to negate it. 100 tests might prove a hypothesis, but it only takes one to disprove it. From the results of these tests, scientists formulate theories about the universe around us, and repetitive success is used to create a consensus theory. Science Tier 4, realistic evidence. Once science has successfully tested a hypothesis in a controlled environment, the consensus theory needs to be applied to the real world to achieve value. At this stage, the application also needs to be false possible. If it's not possible for the theory to be false, then it is of no value. Remember, the most important question about science is why do we value it? For use in the real world, value is answer to a problem. Does it work in the real world? Can you make a real world prediction and achieve a real world result? Accurate predictions are ultimately what makes science valuable. On this count, much of modern technology is stupendously successful, and much of modern pseudoscience is not. How does application of this science tier methodology help us to see C3 theory's failure? First, I have added Tier 4 to the traditional scientific method to highlight exactly where C3 fails, specifically the real-world application of the theory. Second, C3 has not demonstrated any successful record of accurate predictions and results. Are New York and Florida underwater? Has the Arctic ice all melted? Hurricanes are a real bitch now, aren't they? The doomsday predictions are just ludicrous. The mundane predictions are slightly better, but nowhere near sufficient to be considered a valuable Tier 4 technology. Third, many advocates of C3 propose that none of the objections to the theory matter. If we don't do something now, doomsday will happen in 50 years. Pick your own number, it doesn't matter. It is not a false possible test if success is claimed when the possibility of it failing is still in the future as part of the test. To be of Tier 4 value, the possibility that the prediction might be wrong must be available. The future is not available now. That's why it's called the future, not the present. Fourth, it is irresponsible to claim a science to be settled if it has not demonstrated Tier 4 value. Any such claim is based on belief instead of a demonstrated theory. It does not meet reality, which is what C3 boils down to. Religious devotion creating a political solution to a real-world problem. We don't need that. We need the value that we can get from Tier 4 scientific answers to real-world problems. Fifth, C3 is a perfectly acceptable Tier 3 theory, which has created a Tier 1 consensus. That's it. It doesn't matter how many scientists agree on any theory, Tier 4 value only arrives when a theory can make predictions and achieve accurate results in the real world. That's it. C3 theory can't make accurate predictions. Thus, C3 theory fails. That is all.